feel. Breeze drifting on by. You know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day. It's a new life for me. Late night in Moscow where nothing ever happens. Night blends in the moonlight, no escape. White night, yon day lurking, knife in the door.
Paranoid searches for a full vision ride. Under surveillance, nowhere to hide. Influence creeps like blood on the floor. Fine line between peace and war. From campus to crypt, the script flips tragic. Mystic and twisted, magic turn manic. All crew lingers, but the echo remain. Chains of the slain and eternal pain.
And here we go.
Welcome to the freak show, the best in town.
What is going on, Hive? I hope everybody's having a fantastic start to their weekend. I am extremely excited to discuss the Moscow mind fuck. Sorry for the cuss word right off the jump, but it is Friday night. It's a little bit later, and tonight I'm not going to be playing around. I hope you all aren't going to be either, because I'm ready to get to the bottom of this. And there are so many theories that everybody thinks, not everybody says, myself included, right? We talk about a lot, but there's also some that are just, maybe you lean away from them, not because they're going to offend people, but because these have to be way too far stretched. There's no way that it's this sophisticated of an operation. And while, yes, I believe in Occam's razor, or however the hell you say that word, tonight we're going to be talking sophisticated operations. We are going to be talking about the background of everybody involved. And I got an email from somebody that just may have, how do you say that? They might have just pieced it together, is what I'm trying to say. And I'm going to rely on you guys a lot tonight to fill in the gaps of this theory. I have done my best with my research, and I can tell you that it's kind of odd that a lot of the stuff that is said, we've like just grazed over. You know what I mean? We've mentioned it, but we haven't gone like super deep. That makes sense. And also, I understand that the last few nights that I was looking extremely, quote, red on camera, and it's because I had this HDR setting on my camera turned on. Does this look any less red? Because right now I'm looking at the screen and I'm like, damn, it doesn't look any different. Or am I tripping? If anything, I just look way brighter. But nonetheless, Crown just types a 1. That's funny. Oh, less red. Okay, nice. All right, good. Because don't get me wrong, I was definitely feeling a little bit flushed last night when Sammy T. Mafia was talking about, you know, a tongue ring, the Breakfast Club t-shirt, some 90s trends, things like that. But we're gonna go as serious as we can tonight, or as serious as the Hive can typically be. And this is it's a mind fuck. That's what it is. This does not make sense. Even if you can wrap your head around the fact that this might be a cover-up, it still does not make sense, Hive. So if this is your first time tuning into the Hive, let me just give you a quick disclaimer. I'm your host, Birdie. If you hate to think critically, maybe you are rattled or offended on behalf of everybody, you're not going to like me. You're not going to like the chat. And this probably will not be the stream for you. However, if you are known as the conspiracy theorist in your friend group, you like to look into things, do your own research, and ultimately do everything opposite of what the news and the power the powers that be tell you to do? Well, you are amongst friends and you have found your people. Welcome. I got a good one lined up for y'all tonight. Like I said, I know how I want to start this stream, but I'm going to really lean into you all, as I typically do on Friday evenings, to kind of carry the theory. Where do we go tonight is in all of our hands right now. So let me say what's up to everybody. What's up, Batshit Crazy? And B, Brian Todd, Amanda B from West Virginia. Kreger says, deep the rabbit hole goes. Amen to that. Germelia, Ricky Thetford, Kimberly, Molly Bledsoe, UK Karen, Luna Bliss, shout out to my mod. UFO Dog, shout out to my mod. Formerly known as Beck, shout out to my mod. Wow, 3 in a row. Marty Kuhn, Linda, Leela, Arizona Barbie, F. Prescott, first timer. Type of 1 if you're a first timer. I'll give you guys all top dogs. So if you're a first timer in the Hive, top dog is anybody that has a comment that kind of solidifies any type of theory, or it could completely redirect anything that we were talking about because it's that big of a statement. So, Crowned, you can't keep typing 1s. You've been here since TikTok. Koala, Plant Lovers, first time. UFO Dog, 69 times. Amanda B says 420. Ricky Thetford, same thing. All right, now you guys are just messing with me. That's funny. And I want to give a shout out to Chris S., who I believe is dating somebody who tunes in regularly. They made that last bit of the intro for the song. So I kind of edited it a little bit. I had to cut it down. It's like a 5-minute song. But shout out to Chris S. And I thought that worked out good. Kitty laughing, $12.25 says, your coloring is good. Hi from Arizona. Love your show. Well, thank you so much for the super chat. Just so you all know, all my streams are free. So the 7 p.m. or the 9 p.m., like what's known as the Hive, I'll never put that behind a paywall. I don't have any memberships. All right. My mods will drop a tip link in the chat, or if you do a super chat, that's how you get the letters, or like the lettering, the wording, to pop up above my head. So super stickers, for whatever reason, they don't, but super chats and the tips do. And thank you to Crowned that just said, don't be lazy, hit that like button. So if we could all just take 2 seconds right now, we'll just kind of slow down. We got a lot to go through tonight. Okay, there is no shortage of things to dive into tonight. Just everybody pull down on the chat, tap that like button, as my mods and people in this in the Hive typically say, leave more DNA on the like button than Brian Koberger has left on that sheath. Leela GT8 coming in with the $20 super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Donna Speaks Truth says, this is my tribe. Tinfoil Hat Claire says, I already submitted my DNA on the like button. Atta girl. Nene says, let's do it. Formerly known as Beck says, I was able to hype a couple of your videos on your page yesterday. Yeah, please do hype it if that option is available. I don't know what makes them available or not. But anybody that does do that, thank you so much. Whoops. We'll go with this light. There we go. All right. So I did have a poll kind of leading into this this chat. And it was, what's your top theory on what really happened? I had Koberger, the frats, and the university, criminal network payback, PSYOP, and or WITSEC. The top performing vote came in at 46% with criminal network payback. Now, my question to you all is, who do you think the payback is going towards? Is it the students themselves? Or is it their parents, perhaps? And like I said in the beginning, if you're easily rattled or you're offended, or if you only watch Ashley Banfield, Brian Enton, or any of the other talking suit NPCs on your television, your head's going to explode tonight. So yeah, there's a lot of people that are, and thank you so much, Amanda B, for the super chat. Appreciate that. Amanda B from West Virginia. Damn it, I'm red again. It's this damn lighting that the camera messes with. So this is what I'm sticking with. I don't care. I'm not red. At this point, it is what it is, you know? A lot of people are saying the parents, and I tend to agree with that. Like, if it's not the parents, and it's towards, you know, and if it's towards the kids, well, what would that be because of? You know what I mean? It really doesn't make sense, like, through and through. Because if you're going to say a criminal network is involved for payback, going after college girls doesn't really make sense. Okie dokie Lisa says, white is not your color. You know what? Thank you for the confidence boost. It's all right. I'll just, thank you, Lisa. I'll just drink to forget that. Or I'll just go change my jersey. So thank you. I don't know what's going on with this thing. It's, whatever. I have no idea what to do. Don't really care. So, all right. That was the poll. We said criminal networks. What I want to talk about, and shout out to the people in the Discord that do the Hive art, because this artwork is hilarious. Kind of changed Koberger's face a little bit. But does anybody remember the stream that I did way back in the day with Phoenix Talks, when we did a simulated AI on Hex and crypto? It's the only video to this day that I have had to take down. And the reason why is I gave this AI bot a prompt, and what it did was it gave me a quote that was like, I pieced together everything too well. Too well. Like, to the point where it was like, okay, maybe this is actually real. You know, maybe this is real. But yeah, that's one of my all-time favorite episodes too. So, you know, it was pretty epic. I've shown it before on the stream, but it talks about like a Hex ghost coin. And if you know Hex, you know that Steve G wears that hat, you know, quite a bit. So that's where a lot of the rumors and everything came with, you know, the crypto and shit like that, because it didn't really make too much sense when it came to, well, why would crypto be involved? Why would crypto be involved? This simulation, forget the exact name, but it essentially did what predictive policing AI programs did. And and it filled in the gaps. And so it had this shoot. This is actually one of the reasons why I got into contact with Outcast for the first time. There's like a crypto name for like the address. I can't remember it off the top of my head. The burn wallet. But anyways, long story short, it was like 80% real, and then it filled in the last of like this wallet that said that it burned an X amount of dollars of hex. Well, here's what's crazy. There is some real life, corroborating evidence to that. Hex, the crypto, 2021, 2022, there was a major crash. Like a lot of people lost a lot of money. Okay. And how does this tie in? Well, I'm not the world's biggest crypto expert. Like, if I put any of my money into crypto, I literally buy it and I forget about it. And then it sits in a cold storage wallet. That's about it. I'm not out here, doing meme coins and anything like that. But I do know that even though it's on the quote blockchain, there are ways to scramble it. There are ways to completely stay anonymous where your name will never be attached to it. It's on a blockchain. So if you put a lot of money into it, you're known as like the whale, like whales are dumping it. Again, this is a very juvenile way of describing crypto, I'm sure, to people in the hive. But you start to piece together, okay, so Dylan had said in her interview that she didn't know Kaylee that well, but Xana and Maddie did. And then you look at Kaylee's father wearing a hex hat and the allegations with that. Then you look at Xana and Maddie's parents. You look at Dylan, some connections they have. Bethany has some connections back in 2015. Some people have talked about her family's history with being involved with law enforcement, things like that. Well, and that's true, Sherlock. Thank you for pointing that out. It says, wait, though, it didn't come from nowhere, Birdie. The wallet info came from the text script of the Linda Lane video. That's how it started. Dude, Sherlock, I am so happy you just brought this up. Holy shit. Sorry. I forgot about this. Guys, this is going to blow your mind. If you've stuck with me, if you have been with me since TikTok, does anybody remember the crypto wallet and what it said? So I can put it on screen so that people know if this is your first time tuning in or if you're newer since YouTube. What did it say that was the code that we were trying to figure out? Let me go find this. Does anybody remember like what it had allegedly said? Just wait. Holy shit, dude. Well, there was a guy speaking Portuguese, yes, but there was another. All right, I'm just trying to find it. I have it. I know that I have it in here. It was Boz never used. Does that sound familiar? BOS never used. And I have to go way back into my files because I have not pulled it up in a very long time from TikTok. Yes, Kimberly says I do. Yep, exactly. I'm going back to my original like TikTok file right now on Canva. It's just taking forever to load. So that's why. So, all right, give me 2 seconds. It's still Oh, I remember what I named it. I named that file "If I Was the FBI." That's what I named it. All right. Okay. This is on the Linda Lane footage. All right. So we had screenshotted this. We did closed captions on the Linda Lane car park footage. You can see that it was wherever they did the enhanced audio. Everyone's watched this YouTube video. I don't think that's Jeff H's. I think that might just be Linda Lane archive. But okay, it's a hexadecimal string or part of a transaction. Why? And so when this happens in closed captions, it says that it's picking up on metadata. All right. So here's what's insane. And maybe I only screenshotted it, but I was reviewing the 1112 camera footage. And I did closed captions. Okay. I'm going to throw this on here right now. You guys are going to see this in real time. All right. I'm going to upload this picture. You guys will see it get added to the screen right here. Dude, what does this mean? This is on the Linda Lane car park footage. And it's on the 1112. Why? This is from months ago. It is the exact same hexadecimal code. And it's Bank of America security. All that I'm saying is this. These are alleged, like, this is why I was saying we can't just talk Occam's razor anymore. Okay, what are the chances of this? What are the chances that on 1112 and on the Linda Lane car park footage, okay, so you guys will see the full, here's the full, you know what, I'll move this down. Let me do the full clip here. Okay, so what are the chances of this? In general, what I'm saying is this. You don't have to understand crypto. You don't have to understand anything. But you have the car park on Linda Lane, and then you have recently released, I would consider still, 1112. They have the exact same metadata that pops up that the captions pick up. It's the same exact wallet. It could be edited by the same user. No, yeah. I also say there's no coincidences because coincidence is a mathematical term, which means that two angles cannot coincide together and fit perfectly any other way. I don't even know what this means. And if Sherlock didn't say that comment, this screenshot of the 1112 would have just sat in my phone. Like I had planned on bringing that up last night with Sammy T and we never got to it. And thank God for Sherlock. So again, there's people that are saying I'm struggling to understand. It's not hard to understand, respectfully. You have two separate camera footages, being the car park, being the 1112 security footage. Why is it when you turn on closed captions to try to hear the audio better, they both have this pop up? I don't know how anybody's lost. It would be like, how are two different videos having the exact same script be picked up? It would be like, it's like you're listening to a Katy Perry song. It's muted. You're listening to a Kanye West song. It's muted, but they both have the same lyrics when you turn on the captions. It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. And just so everybody knows too, not that anybody thinks that Birdie's trying to pull a fast one. You guys can see when I go all the way down, the entire cap cut is what I use to edit these things. The entire cap cut screen, you can see the editing at the bottom. Okay. So it actually is these videos, right? This is a screen recording. You can see the title at the top with the video recommended beneath it. And then here you can see the car park. So what does that mean? And I haven't watched that stream in so long when it comes to the like the crypto. So I don't know what I knew it was like a burn rate of like, was it 197 grand or something? And Queen Bee Steph says, did you ask ChatGPT why they would have both have the same thing? Yes. Well, not why they both would, I should say. So I guess I could do that now. But on the other one, we were trying to figure out why and what the hell that is. So, you know what? Why not? Let's do it. This is the fun of a live dig. We're just kind of getting right into it, huh? All right. Okay. Well, that's interesting. And I mean, that's never popped up, but hang on. So Okay, so here I'll share this. So I'll scroll back up, and it says, "Well, this looks like it could be saying that this is like the back office system or base OS." Okay, it's a session ID, it's an encryption key, but until I said, "Well, what if they are different security cams? What are the odds of this?" And it says extremely low. Okay, right? I then go on to say, "Doesn't this look like hexadecimal code?" Exactly, sharp eye. The structure and the length is 32 characters long. Each character is within 0 to 9 AF. That is hallmark of an MD5 hash, which is a 128-bit fingerprint that's routinely used in session IDs, file integrity checks, device authentication tokens, or user IDs in databases. So yes, it's hexadecimal, but it's not an encoded message. It's a machine identifier. Okay. So that's like digital DNA. BOS could mean base OS or back office system. Never used means the device attempted to authenticate or reference a user profile associated with that hash failed. This just makes no sense from a standpoint of it's a security camera. All right. Good idea, Kelly Marshall. Okay, so it's for sure a hex code because it uses 0 through 9, A through F. All right. 128 bits, 16 bytes most likely. The message overlay reads something like BOS never used, 51, whatever, blah, blah, blah. The phrasing never used user plus that hash suggests this is a system log or debug message. So it says these cameras are likely from a manufacturer that uses common firmware, SDK, maybe via a Chinese OEM that uses P2P cloud services for remote viewing. When the camera attempts to connect to the cloud back office service, but finds that the user ID, the hash, is either unregistered, expired, invalid, or whatever. Okay, but my point is this. Wouldn't two completely different cameras at different addresses have different codes? Okay, so then it's like saying this shit, which is confusing. Because it's like, yes, they should have different codes. They absolutely should. And I wasn't trying to confuse anybody by doing this because I think it's rather obvious until you just rely on AI to tell you this. But these are two different cameras that have the same hex code at two different addresses. Yeah, like how? How does it pick up the exact same hexadecimal code? Those are completely unique to every device. So it could be a shared code path, not independent randomness. It's a possible see, now it's starting to say what it said the first time. It's a possible shared backend message, meaning that if both cameras use the same cloud relay, the overlay could be pushed from the server. The only thing the only way that this would make sense, because, okay, let me also clarify. Let me clarify so that nobody in here looks dumb or feels dumb or anything else. Okay, all that I saw was that it was the exact same. We did not have 1112 until how long ago? Okay, we've had the Linda Lane dumpster and we've had the Linda Lane car park for forever. Are these all owned by the same property management company? Is 1112 the exact same company that owns the Linda Lane cameras? So if the same owner owns all of them and they have an entire security system set up for every property, which we know that they do have a lot of properties, that is why this could be seen. But do you see also how big of a trap that is to fall into? Right? And like, so Zach Nelly says, switch to quote thinking mode, my guy. Well, yeah, I mean, I am thinking right now, and it's that we didn't have 1112 until right now, or I'm sorry, until how long ago? And up until right now, I didn't even know I was going to put this on the screen, and I was just freaking out like, yeah, it's the same thing. So 1122 and 1112 are the same owner, not Linda Lane, different owner. Dan Etsy owned several homes there, but not the Linda Lane ones. Okay, so that's weird. Oh, it's my bad, Zach. Oh, I'm cringing at myself for that one, bro. My B. I deserve that. Nomadic Duckman just switched to balls deep mode. All right, let's switch to thinking mode. You can also see from my perspective, hopefully, how it could be switch to thinking mode. You did have me thinking with that comment, but so I told it to redo it, think contrarily. They're not the same owners. We don't know the manufacturer. This cannot just be a coincidence. And that's a great point. Lady G says it wasn't an SD card. I hate to say this, but it's like, this is where Jeff H., if he's even a real tech on that, and even though it might piss us all off, if he goes towards the mainstream thing, he might be able to give a technical reason why. But honestly, I don't even know if we need to rely on Jeff H. I know we don't need to. Yeah, boo. I need a hotkey of the God damn it, Jeff. Yeah, Jeff H does need redemption. Thank you, Sydney. 95 Reynolds says 1126, 1127, 1118 King Road, 733 West Taylor or West Taylor Ave. Those are all owned by Eagle Investment Group. Okay. All right. So thank you to Zach Nelly, because I said I switched it to thinking mode. It thought for 18 seconds. And it says, you're right to push on this. If those two cameras are at different properties, they're owned by different people, they are from apparently different setup, and still show the exact same message, then no, it's not a coincidence. All right, I'm giving Zach the top dog. Thank you for suggesting that. I didn't even realize it was in instant mode and not thinking mode, but thank you. So it says we're going to start with the weird part. We have two independent systems displaying the exact same 32 character hex string in the same weird unpolished log sentence. This is the key. It's not noise. That's a signature. Okay. So now going back to the TikTok days, if you've been watching for the last 10 minutes or so, that's why I was freaking out, because this is the exact same thing that we had heard originally. Okay. We got 32 hex characters, 128 bits, classic MD5 style length. That is not decodable ciphertext in the normal sense. It's almost certainly a hard-coded test value, a user device or session ID, and it's left over from development. I brute checked it against obvious MD5s. It doesn't match any of the simple stuff. That's fine. Hashes are one way. What matters is that it behaves like an internal identifier, not a human message. So two unrelated locations, same rare debug string, same hash. This proves it shared technical ancestry somewhere. The question is where? Yes, it is crazy that it's a hex wallet too. That's insane. No, yeah. Okay, let's just say this. Is this a hex crypto code? Because we're going back to the OG days where we just ask ChatGPT anything. Some of the best streams that we've ever done are just getting on here and I'm just typing random shit in that you guys tell me to. Anonymous Reckoning says the hex case was thrown out. I wonder what the reason was. Okay, so this is okay, guys. I have to slow my brain down. Okay, let me slow my brain down right here. If the string is crypto shaped, do you realize how, in addition to two different properties, two different cameras, two different owners, the fact that it's the exact same, do you realize how hard that would be? And then they could say, oh, it's a cloud-based thing. Well, you know, a lot of systems are cloud-based, and they all have unique identifiers for different devices, even on the same cloud. You know what I mean? It's completely a crypto wallet address, in my opinion. It's absolutely a crypto wallet address. It's 32 characters. It's all 0 through 9, A through F. That is an MD5 hash, or it's a blob from some internal crypto system. So when you say this doesn't feel randomly like security cameras, you're right. It's not random. It's structured. It's a machine identifier of some kind. So it could be a hash, it could be a session token, a device ID. If it's a cryptographic hash, you cannot reliably reverse it to plain text. Okay. Only someone who knows the original value can recognize it. So could it be a message to someone? I mean, I didn't even give it a prompt to like connect dots. I just said, don't be influenced by propaganda. And and it goes, quote, "We on the inside know what 51BCE0C7 refers to. If you see it, you know it's us or this system or this operation. That's how identifiers, API keys, or backdoor markers sometimes work." And thank you so much, Jessica Cardalico. It's a cool name. Oh, the information on the Grub Truck video. I've never checked. Thank you so much. Well, and Riley brings up a good point. Isn't Steve a tech guy? Doesn't Steve wear hex hats? You guys see my entire thing. Like when it comes to where I'm going this evening and why. You got Koberger counting money, smoking a stogie in a hex hat. Okay. Welcome to the Hive, Decamp. Thank you for subscribing. Can everybody who's not subscribed right now just press subscribe, please? And the like button. Okay. I'm about to get into a theory that pieces together a lot of things. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to get the Hive member's name for the person that gave me this theory and also gave me 4.5, 5 hours of like flow state ADD going down rabbit holes, which is awesome. It's Liana. Thank you so much for this. The subject line of the email is Idaho 4 theory that just hit me. Okay. What's up, Hemisphere? You're right. I do need to put my hat on. Let me find that song.
Please retrieve your nearest tinfoil hat. Place hat firmly on your head. Prepare yourself.
All right. Now that the tinfoil hat is on, I can say whatever I want. You know what I mean? We can say whatever we want here in the Hive. And this has got to be the first time that I put a tinfoil hat on in what? A month? Hey, Detective Bowery, fuck you. I don't even care. Mods, that's his one comment. I got no patience tonight. Hemisphere has a theory. All right, so let me talk you guys through. Let me first read Liana's email. Okay. So I've noted that both Dylan and Quinn's dads have long records. So I thought, both dads have long jail records. Dylan ends up rooming with Xana and Maddie, then ends up learning that they both were drug mules. Somehow they got to learn of the plea deals that the parents made. In maybe an innocent conversation at one of the dad's houses, this gets mentioned that the dads are part of the Aryan Knights. It gets back to somebody who is towards the top of that gang or a gang leader. They then realize they have an in and they plan to use Dylan to get payback. She's either manipulated or threatened, hence why she's being protected to lure Kaylee back, because Steve G ripped off JJB in the Hex collapse. So what if the law enforcement frats, the University of Idaho and Pullman, etc., weren't involved originally, but they came to find out shortly after, maybe within the 72 to 96 hours before a press conference, because Dylan didn't keep her mouth shut to them. Maybe Mowich may have been recruited by Quinn's dad and made a dying confession in the hospital. Okay, it's a short email, but holy hell. It is simple. This person goes on to acknowledge that the Hive are faster thinkers and better sleuthers, but there could be corroborating facts, narrative, or evidence. In general, guys, this is the fact that somebody took time out of their day to email me this. Like, thank you. Okay? Because this is the Hive. I can only come up with so many theories. I mean, a lot of my original theories are what got the Hive to be the Hive. Now I like hearing everybody else's and just applying the same, like, I don't know, outlook towards it. So Pav mentioned this yesterday. Okay. This was sent at 9:28. So I don't know what time the video came out. Either way, whether Pav mentioned it or not, guys, are we all on the same team? Has anybody ever seen me try to say, no, I found that first? No, you know, it was this person. I don't give a shit about it. I think it's low IQ to care. I think it's selfish to care. Personally, that's my opinion. There are people in here that feel opposite of that. And don't get me wrong, if you put the work in, you should be able to, like, quote, break it. Right? But then I guess either ask for credit, keep your mouth shut if you're a creator, and put it out first. And at the end of the day, here's my point. I've had many people take stuff that I've said and run with it. A lot of people have. I don't care. I want people, the masses, to wake up to this. That's my only goal. Through and through, hook me up to a lie detector. I don't give a damn. And I agree with Kimberly. I like this theory. I like this theory a lot. And to be honest, I think when you start to worry about that stuff, it clouds your brain. You know what I mean? It has you start to worry about things that aren't important. If you're genuine about seeking justice, seeking the masses seeing the truth. And I guess it's nothing new for us in here. You know what I mean? I'm not even tooting our own horn right now. It's just the reality. Many people are wired that same way. Get Birdie a PBR. Right. And that's my point. Anonymous Reckoning. As long as the info gets out, who cares? you know, if we were to take this and go a little bit further, which I have, and that's what I'm going to do here in this second hour is I'm going to go through what I've pieced together. Okay. But type of 1, if you've listened to at least Dylan's police interview with like a Detective Gooch. We talked about that last night with Sammy T. Type of 1 if you've had a chance to listen to that. Okay. I just want to get an understanding of the majority of people in here. Okay. Because, yeah, I mean, it's like eating glass. I ask that, and all right, Wild West says to repeat the theory. I will repeat the theory, and then I've had one Busch Light and I have to pee already, which is just not good. So I'm sorry about that. I've been trying to pee before the streams, and I know I've been taking too many bathroom breaks, but essentially, Liana sent me an Idaho 4 theory that just hit them. Oddly enough, followed up. So this was on November 6th at 9:28. Sends me an email today at 9:46. Quote saying, Pob just sent me the same theory. Okay. I flashed that quick out of respect for privacy, but they sent me this and then said 12 hours later, it's the same theory. I don't give a shit if Pob broke it first. And you know what? I don't even know Pob. I don't think he gives a shit either. I think there are two people, being myself and him, that would have no problem talking about anybody's theories. You can have your opinion on them, but I believe that you're kind of, it's just lame to care if you didn't have the idea first, or if you had the idea first and someone takes it and runs with it. Sherlock said, make that 3. Just putting some comments up quickly. All right, so here's a theory. I'm going to read this and then I'm going to go pee. So this person noted that Dylan and Quinn's dad both have long jail records. What if Dylan ends up rooming with Xana and Maddie and ends up learning that they both were essentially drug mules for their parents? Then Dylan comes to find out to learn that Xana and Maddie's parents made a deal. This, in an innocent conversation, then gets back to Quinn's father, Dylan's father, somebody who's connected with the AK, that Xana and Maddie are aware that their parents cooperated. It gets back to the gang leader. Dylan is then manipulated or threatened to lure Kaylee back because Steve G ripped off JJB in the Hex collapse. So then law enforcement, frats, the university, Washington State, they weren't involved originally. They were brought in by the FBI. Makes sense with the delay of almost 4 days for a press conference, because Dylan, in those original police interviews, could be with the FBI that we're never going to see. That's the other thing. Bourbon Santa made it a hell of a point on stream that we might not see the FBI's, interrogations ever. There's a national security, whatever tag to it. Extortion, overt threats. Hello? Is anybody seeing all this? All of these things would not appear randomly in a serial killer wannabe lone wolf case. And we'll dive into, like, this is a good point. You know, too many things needed to coincide. Isn't there too many things needed to coincide with Koberger being in prison for 4 consecutive life sentences and having to plea to get the death penalty off the table after a trial by media? So I feel like this case has given us a green light to apply the same logic. If they're going to convict Brian that way, we should be able to theorize that way. I will be right back. Do not go anywhere. Please hit that like button. We should have 1,000 likes by the time I get.
Flying high, you know how I feel.
Yo, yo. All right. So let's run with this theory. And also, you know, I've had some people say some stuff in general about me just saying like the stream. Guys, just like it. I don't really care if it pisses somebody off to say, please like the stream. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm putting in a lot of effort, no memberships. And then at the same time, people will say there's too many ads. When I have it on the literal lowest setting, YouTube will pick and choose how many ads they run once you pick that setting. I'm not doing anything to try and make this difficult for you to watch. Except for right now, I'm just going to stop. Just press the damn like button in the nicest way possible. It's a mutual thing because there has to be something that we can do to get this out there more. There's more people that are thinkers like we are, and Curious Cat's like, I get no ads. I know it's only like random people, but they could be trolling even, because I'm like, I don't understand it, because I'll go and watch it not logged in after I see comments like that. I'm like, I get one in the beginning, and then after like the 12 to 15 minute mark. Yes, Detective Mowry, I did receive your email. Your name's actually written down on my whiteboard right now to get back to you. So I did get it. Yep. Yeah, you don't get ads. Never gotten a single ad. Okay, thank you. Because I'm gaslighting myself at this point. Nickelback sucks. I like that song. All right. So we're going to be diving into here in the second hour. We're going to try to put everything into a bow. All right. I haven't done this live in a very long time from a standpoint of taking everything into account: crypto, prison gangs, the university, people's parents, and the media. All right. And I don't know how many theories can exist at this point if you don't include all of them. Sherlock, that is hilarious. That's my type of humor too. What concert cost 45 cents? 50 Cent featuring Nickelback. That's funny. And so James brings up a good comment saying, Birdie, now, unless Moscow is owned by the Aryan Knights and law enforcement, FBI, CIA, they're all covering for the AK. They've been trying to take them down for sure. There is something to be said. And look, I'm also going to say right now, I know this isn't the only theory out there just tonight. Okay. I think we're going to have to start to do that. While, yes, I love looking at all theories, I think we're at the point where we're going to have to either commit like at least the entire stream to one, if not like weekly theories to dive into. Do you guys agree with that? I think we've dabbled enough going all over the map every stream to where we need to get dialed in and we need to start to figure out for sure. Like we can wear our tinfoil hats when we talk theories, but we need to like dial in for sure which one has the most weight. You guys voted, okay? Criminal Network and Payback. And then the second most was Frats and University. Liana's theory captures both. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. Pop and Switch says, they agree. Just give the theory its due time. We have to start doing that. Otherwise we're going to be, because we have so much information that if we don't commit to it, we're going to be able to go down every single rabbit hole quickly because of the amount of information, because of what this person said, what that person said, that we can now confirm with documents. But there has to be a moment for all of us to settle our brains down and really go in on it. So this evening, for the rest of this live dig, we're going to talk about this one. So Love Always Redacted says it's the drugs, the Greeks, and the university. Again, thank you so much, Beth, for the super chat saying Dylan's boyfriend's dad. Let me just run this banner quick along the bottom. As I'm sure there are people in here that just get pissed. And for liability. Nothing that we are saying is fact. This is all speculation. This is hypothetical. These are hypotheses. And if anything, the people are finally taking some power into their own hands again, trying to get an innocent man out of prison. Or trying to get everybody involved into prison from a legal standpoint. My opinion is that he had nothing to do with this, being Brian Koberger. All right. So that point saying that it's the drugs, the frats, and the university, look, there's absolutely aspects of it. But what I started to think about is the following. Okay. What if Xana and Maddie were helping their families? Think about that. If Xana and Maddie were to somehow be involved, does anybody here have a cousin, an uncle, an older brother, a younger brother? And you don't admit to this, just what I'm saying is think through this lens where they're making a bunch of cash. Maybe you have a roommate and you know some people, therefore you get cut in on it. Okay. You can't tell me that if you have parents that are at the point of cooperating to get out of trouble, that it's that big of a stretch to think that maybe college-age daughters who are around sororities and frats couldn't somehow be involved with earning a cut. Okay? It's just a theory, everybody. Are you guys following me? Yes or no? Because I'm going to go through this entire thing. And this is typed out in notes. So let me pull this up. Canva. All right. You guys are following me. So if we were going to go like microscopic, okay. I'm also asking everybody for the second time, the last time I'm going to say this, think about what they convicted Brian Koberger on and the speculation. And Blue Eyed Candy, thank you so much for the super chats. You literally are incredible. You rock. DM says her and the roommates were all worried or scared for a little bit when Xana's mom got arrested. She also stated Xana wasn't close to her mom and Maddie wasn't close to her dad too. Yeah. And then we have to look through the light. And I know you'll get this, Blue Eyed Candy, but I hope other people do. We have to look through the light of like, what can we rely on as truth from DM and what is narrative? It's not to say there's not bits and truth, mixed into it, right? But Beth says that was awful to say. What is that in regards to? RJ says robbery, what was taken. Thank you, La Fugitiva 5150. Kara said, this better not be because of redacted. Dylan said Maddie and Kaylee's parents were worried about them too. That's from Rumble with CJ 5298. So Beth said that, DM, it was awful of her to say that. Did anybody find it weird that DM didn't really know anything about her roommates? And I want to get to this theory, so I'm going to stop pussyfooting around here. Okay. I believe that of the 4 people killed, only 3 were the targets. I do believe at this point that Ethan could have been collateral. That also then points to what other people have said in regards to like frats, other college age kids, the university, Ellie, being aware of what Ethan may or may not know. But my initial thought, looking through this lens, is that Xana, Maddie, and Kaylee were going to go down. Ethan could have just been because somebody was involved in this killing that was aware, like I said, of what Ethan knew about the frat hazing death that was not investigated that well. But I believe the reason why Dylan's statements are in the media so much, why she, compared to Bethany, is not as shielded. DM turned in this theory. For the good guys or the bad guys, there was either a threat, a bribe, she was coerced. She's passively functioning on behalf of somebody. She could have started off passively functioning with what Liana had said in her theory, or after the fact, she couldn't keep her mouth shut, being scared or whatever it is. And that's how the university, WSU, and LE really had to take the roles on that they did. For all we know, DM could have had the dirt on the local law enforcement saying, I know that there was an officer having sexual relations with one of my roommates. It could have come out that she would spill the beans on the rumors about a frat hazing death. There's a lot of, it sounds weird to say that about Dylan. She had a lot of leverage. She had a lot of leverage. And if you were in the FBI's position, if you were in somebody who was trying to prosecute a prison gang that maybe she was dating somebody she had connections to, are you worried about Dylan Mortensen at the end of the day? Or are you going to let her go in there and say, oh, I'm drunk and oh, I don't really remember. And I think this and I think that. And there's, you know, this, what do you want to call it? There's a stigma behind how they sound. Right? This is all my opinion. Dylan made Bethany aware of this. So either Bethany was not at the house, or if she was, Dylan kept herself and Bethany out of what I would call the kill zone. After hearing these interviews and their stories not matching up that much, after hearing some contradictions as to, you know, Dylan was running down the stairs, Bethany knew she was coming and unlocking the door, expecting her. How did Bethany not know it was an intruder? There was communication. And just because it's not communicated on their phone doesn't mean that they didn't talk about it in person, and nobody will ever know. Appy Cakes 117 says, I used to be an addict. Quote, if, in all caps, Brian Koberger supposedly was an addict, there have been many times I used to trade belongings for dope, not thinking where said stuff would land up. Possible how the DNA was there on the sheath. Yeah. I agree. That is possible. And, you know, thank you for feeling vulnerable enough with the Hive, if that's the word to use. I'm saying that out of respect, Happy Cakes, to, you know, to share that with us. It could be that. My gut just tells me that's way too traceable, and that we wouldn't be in this situation today. You know what I mean? And I hope everybody in the Hive respects, you know, people when they come out and they say that shit too, not even trying to be soft. We've had a lot of people talk about some traumatic shit and how it relates in here. So to everybody that has, thank you. And I'll never be the one to put anybody on blast for that. But I do think ultimately the marshals and the FBI, they get involved because this is known. Like I don't know how they all connect. Like, I'm speculating with this theory, but there has to be a piece that we can corroborate with documents at this point with how many are out there. If it's not from the FBI, there has to be corroborating evidence that something leaked. And then I go back to WSU Kim talking about everybody knew there was going to be a shakedown. And if anybody knows WSU Kim, please let me know that contact info. All right. Oh, all right. And there's too many rumors about things that point to an operation like the Stingray or Jammers, the photo of their internet being down or their, there's no connection. That's not just a power outage. That's not just their Wi-Fi being out, right? That's the entire like grid being down. And it's kind of like, in a weird way, we have to realize, and I'm not going to go on a tangent about this. Like we are already in the AI surveillance grid, everybody. I'll rant about Palantir and all this stuff. We're in it, guys. We got geofence. We got connecting to cell towers. We got digital footprints. We got VPNs. We got browser history. We have phone numbers. We have call logs. We're in it. Okay. We've been in it. If Palantir is just now inviting AI to decipher all of it at a much higher level than humans could, let's not be naive and think that just because it's going to be way more efficient, way more powerful, and self-learning, which is terrifying, but like we're in that grid. You know what I mean? I've used the example of like I walk into Jimmy John's and my phone knows that I'm in Jimmy John's and it offers me a $2 off coupon and a free oatmeal raisin cookie because my phone crossed into their geofence. You know? Yeah, we have to accept it. We are already in that world. Whether you see a camera outside your house or not, you got this thing, attached to you. We've been in it. All right. You got the CastNet documents, casting that net far and wide. They're letting Koberger go about his day. The route he takes, driving back across how many states? I mean, holy smoky, can you confirm we are in the grid since you work in surveillance? We have Koberger being monitored. They know his internet tendencies. They know his geolocation. All of his social behaviors are known. Koberger is completely being monitored. Let me ask you about this. The dude that allegedly shot Charlie Kirk, any other serial killer, any other lone wolf, has anybody, even things that are caught on camera, to back up a little bit, like we all saw Charlie Kirk get his neck exploded. Has anybody ever seen a case like this one where they have hammered home an entire story that nobody can verify? Ever? 9/11 might be the only other one. It's on big levels. Okay, that's what I'm also trying to say, like from a pattern recognition standpoint. We are seeing tendencies of things like 9/11 with national security, like COVID, like the war on drugs, like border security, like whatever, right? It's an invisible enemy to an extent. Just trust us. Yeah, the attempt on a president, whether it be, Trump, whether it be JFK, whether it be the ones that, yeah, it's just crazy. Like the JFK files, I've read through a lot of them. I've told this story before. How many people in the Hive know that the Lee Harvey Oswald that was seen in Cuba was a body double, and there's an FBI memo and a note that asks or that talks about why is the body double in Cuba? How many people know that? We have wild things in these documents. Beck knows that. Darwa knows that. It's insane. Yeah, like people say yes, don't know if that's true, but it's like, yeah, and it's a bad double. I agree, Essie. Yeah, the dude didn't even look like Oswald. Dude, can we do an entire Friday night live dig on what? How do you say that name? On something dragon. Sorry, so sorry. 3231. Can we do an entire live dig on this? Because there are also released documents about Hitler's death. I just think it'd be so easy to get away with crime and fake shit back in the day. It's not even funny. I think it'd be interesting. Brian Todd said Hitler snorted blue Adderall. Beth, thank you so much. What with the FBI extortion? I can so, and thank you for the super chat. Anything over $4.99, like I said, will pop up and I'll stop immediately and address them or shortly after. Let me go ahead and just pull this up because I have some stuff shown. Yep. Fled to Argentina. I think too, see, this might be an unpopular opinion to like normies. I think people in here, we can look into the forbidden Hitler and did he fake his death? And it's not going to offend people in here. If the guy faked his death with a body double and went to Argentina and lived, and there's a giant presence of Germans, and then you hear about, what was it, Operation Paperclip or whatever it was, that was it Paperclip or what was it, where we had all the Nazi scientists over into the U.S.? Do you know that there's photos of Nazi symbols and banners in the U.S. and all this stuff, right? Like, we could talk about that, and people are so dumb. It's like, can we at least look into the history of it? If this guy is smart enough to, do X, Y, and Z, or evil enough to do X, Y, and Z, and manipulative enough, to do all this, you don't think the guy could fake his death? You don't think the guy could get somebody as a body double for 4 people, 5 people, being his wife and his kids? All right, so this is the document. You got Brian Koberger, the MPD, the 4 victims, and then it says extortion, aggravated, or overt threats. Well, what does this mean? When you see that language, your ears should perk up. This is huge. It's absolutely huge. It's a nuke in any other theories, in my opinion. So, yeah, Brian, that's the CastNet document. Okay. I talked about this. This was what my stream with Lana was about. And if you guys are interested in that stream, just for the sake of time, let me just show you which one it is. It was, well, let me show you the video, because Lana was like almost an hour and a half or 2 hours late. So this one is the quick cut. Where is it? Right here. It's the Bill Thompson one. It says, I can't go to jail. Right up here. It's from 2 weeks ago. This is the quick cut. The full live one, excuse me, is the final boss. Lana had a good take on it, you know, and I like Lana. I respect Lana. I've thought about it a lot, and I'm like, it just seems way too stupid of a police officer to lie and say extortion and overt threats, especially when there is like FBI, I guess, documentation type of heading on this document, which is the castnet. Lana's theory, just to clear that up, which is a good take. It's a great take, I think was my quote, is, well, he was lying so that he could get, you know, access to Jack and others' phones. That very well could be it. It just, in my conspiracy tinfoil hat, going along with everything else opinion, humbly, through and through, to my core, you have to be the dumbest police officer of all time to give up your entire career to lie about that. Again, for what is a lone wolf, very obvious, open and shut, the most deadlocked case of all time. But again, it is what it is. Like, you know, I'm the conspiracy theorist. We are the conspiracy theorist hive. I want to take a second here and take a moment to, like, let's pull the car over on the side of the road instead of just glancing in the rear view mirror here and just looking back, just looking quickly to see how far we've been driving and how far we've come. Let's actually pull the car over. Let's undo our seatbelts. Let's open the door. Let's get out of the car. Let's step out and let's turn around and let's really look at the vast distance. The fact that we are still here, all of us, and we are becoming less and less crazy. We never thought we were crazy, but there's a reason why we are doing this still. And it's awesome. And it's another tally mark for the conspiracy theorists. And just because we're conspiracy theorists doesn't mean that we're idiots. At all. You know what I mean? And I hope you guys know that this should be, you know, it's an extreme confidence booster in our own mental capacity. You don't need to know documents inside and out to recognize patterns. Some people's brains work the opposite. Look through the documents, see the patterns, connect the dots. I saw through the narrative, like many of you did. I read the documents. I don't go as granular as many other people, but I see the big, hard-hitting stuff that I already knew. Like, there's this lady that is on TikTok. She's got like 500,000 something followers. I don't remember her name. She posted something like within the last couple of days, and it was, I just read all of the documents and I'm pissed. Guys, Ryan Koberger did not commit this crime. The question is now not what could have happened. I want to know what happened. All right? I feel like I've been pussyfooting around this whole stream, and I'm sorry. And I'm just, let me get myself mentally kind of right here. So at the end of the day, I truly believe this was a local hit. Okay, so this is how I'm going to sum it up. The Idaho 4 was a local hit that had national implications. I no longer believe that this was a local hit that the locals did not believe was going to get as big as it did during the cover-up. I believe that this was a local hit that as soon as like the powers that be, being the FBI, the DOJ, the marshals, figured it out. No, now this has national implications. This has national security implications once it got to them. You got, right? Because like 4 people murdered, 2 survivors, the call, all the same BS that we've talked about a bunch of times. There's no evidence that would hold up in court. And Brian Koberger taking the plea deal, for as confusing as it is for, and again, this is my opinion. People can disagree. I don't even need to say that. I know you guys know that. Okay, so I'm going to stop saying that. My opinion on Brian Koberger taking the plea deal is not this doom and gloom of being railroaded. Right? I know the system's dirty. I know the system's corrupt. At that level, it's planned. It's planned to shield and protect and go away and be lost into the abyss. Right? There's no surveillance. You got Dylan and Bethany that are useless. This was absolutely pre-coordinated. They've digitally blocked 95% of Koberger's mapping or whatever the hell else in that CastNet document with Cy-Ray. But the reason why, this is a federal threat. Something happened. You got Josh Hurwitz, right? He's appointed by Biden, worked for Biden. White collar crime, public corruption, RICO-style organized crime cases based out of Boise, but he oversees federal prosecutions all over Idaho, right? He's processed people that have been caught smuggling meth to people in the same prison gang. He arrives on scene very close to the same time that the CastNet document starts, with Brian Koberger starting to be surveilled. I don't think that that's just this random oversight. I believe that's federal coordination. I am starting to lean into, and I haven't heard people come out and say this. Somebody could have. My gut tells me, oh man, I'm not nervous to say it, but it's like, I don't know how to piece together the events of that night, but my gut tells me that this assassination plot was spoiled before it started. Whether it be communicated behind prison walls and somebody snitched, whether it be people outside of prison told the wrong person and it got out. But I think that this assassination, the big time powers were aware of it. And so when I say spoiled, there could have been a collapse in the protection unit around them, meaning the roommates, or it could have been stopped in its tracks. But there's no way, with how quick everybody was on scene on a Sunday, within hours, that would even happen if they didn't have some sort of awareness about this. Koberger's transported by U.S. Marshals, or there's marshals around. He's got so much protection for, this, it's a state case. It's media managed. The leaks, I don't even believe the leaks anymore. I think any real leaks would have been suppressed, hence why nobody that knows anything is talking. You know what I mean? there's not these leaks make it look more legitimate. You have to put yourself into a manipulative for the greater good mindset. You would have leaks that you say you're going to investigate that just so happen to go to Dateline or Amazon or these giant conglomerate companies. We know Amazon's got government contracts, all this shit. They don't have to change their series. Koberger please out 2 days before. They don't adjust it for their release date after promoting it for how long? And it comes down to two things. Either Brian Koberger, being the accused, is in on a federal investigation, or Brian Koberger is covering for somebody else that is an active operative in an ongoing investigation. So either Koberger himself's involved in this investigation in the operation, or he's placed there to cover for it. I really think that there was a moment in Detective Gooch interviewing Dylan. You know what? I'm going to just try to pull it up. I didn't have this prepared because I didn't think I would need to do it, but really I want to do this just for clarity. This is Plunder's video.
Sometimes it can be helpful.
Wait, this is Detective Gooch's, right? No, this is Joe Lake. Wait, oh, right here. There we go. No. Isn't this? No, I got it right here. No, that's not it either. What the hell am I doing? This, Hive, help me out. This is Vicky Gooch, right? Not Lana's one. I'm saying this is Plunder's. Correct? I just don't want to start watching it because
So
like just from looking at the Grub Truck video, like when before like y'all knew all of this. No, I thought it was Walter the whole time.
serious?
Yeah. I thought it was him until when I did the last FBI interview. They had said Jeff has been so cooperative, blah blah, and that
Is that
like
the one with Aaron? When you
when before like y'all knew all of this. No, I thought it was Walter the whole time.
serious?
I thought it was Jack the whole time. Serious?
I thought it was him until when I did the last FBI interview. They had said Jeff has been so cooperative, blah blah, and that
Is that
like
the one with Aaron? When you did the interview? with
yeah,
Aaron?
no, it was the one on the Zoom thing. Maybe that was Aaron. I can't remember.
No, it was with you.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my mom had talked about all the media stuff, and then someone said something about how working in the same exact media and that he's been so helpful and cooperative, and that made me think, oh, that was a good way that it wasn't him. So then I was like, okay, well, shit, it's not him. Like, I don't know who else it could be.
Can I just pause there and just say, why would she say that if she didn't recognize the voice? She said that, like, you know what I mean? Like, why would she say, oh my God, I thought it was Jack the whole time. And then I saw the news and I saw them saying, no, he's been super cooperative. But at no point, because this is obviously like in the beginning, it's a hook right now. Like, why is she saying that? There's a part in the beginning about how they all came to live together that I want to play. And that's why I'm showing this right now.
Today is December 30th, 2022. It's 11:12 a.m. This is Detective
And I'm going to turn this on 1.5 just because the majority of people in here, when I had asked, they've seen this. So
Joe Lake for case David 22-000030, quadruple homicide, Latah County, Moscow, Idaho. With me today is
Detective Gary Tollison, Idaho State Police.
Our attorney for
perfect. As we previously stated, you do not have to answer the questions. You are not a suspect. If there's a question that makes you uncomfortable or you just don't feel comfortable with, just let us know and we can bypass it. If you build comfort towards it later, we can address that later. Okay, but and at any given time, you can tell us I'm done, and we understand. Okay, so we are truly appreciative of you taking time. This is interview what, 5 or 6? Yeah, it's been a lot, and we are truly grateful that you're so cooperative and helpful with this. Your attorney is present today, which is if at any time we need to stop the interview, she knows what to do. So
we have to take that into account too, what's said right there to Dylan. Guys, we have to. We are so truly grateful for how cooperative you are being, which goes back to, okay, did Dylan flip? Like I said, was she coerced? What if Dylan backed out? Somebody in the intro yesterday said, we're being too hard on Dylan. Her acting is so bad. We're looking at, I've looked at it. We've all looked at it through this lens of it's guilt, 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 guilt. Like, what if, genuinely, what if it's just shit acting? Listen to what that cop just said. What if Dylan is the one that flipped? What if Dylan's the one that spoiled this entire plan? Whether it be connections to Quinn, whether it be connections to whatever she had heard through the grapevine in an innocent conversation. We haven't found the truth just shitting on Dylan yet. I'm going to give myself that same critique. And so Love Always Redacted said, I'm fucking sick of people protecting Dylan. She's been guilty from day one. She contaminated a crime scene and she lied. I've said the same thing. Love Always Redacted. I also think that, is it time to start to stop banging our head on a brick wall and expecting a different result with, if we can see this, all of us see this, are we to really think that these people can't? And you can say, yes, there's dumbasses in law enforcement for sure. But guys, come on. We have to understand we're seeing this years later. If Dylan's one of the perps and really is involved in killing 4 people, what cop in their right mind, if you were a cop, would ever say that to somebody for cooperating? And we're so grateful that you are, because you had a hand in killing your roommates. Does that make sense? I'm not going to bat for Dylan. I'm not protecting Dylan. Her shit, it doesn't make sense. And absolutely, Dylan, that's the part. Dylan absolutely knows more than she's letting on. Why do you think the cops are asking her 5 or 6 questions? This interview was on, I guess, December 30th, 2022. They said this is what, the 5th or 6th interview? So you've had 5 or 6 interviews within, a month and a half. That's damn near 1 a week at that point. I understand that cops lie to encourage confessions. Again, I'm also aware of this, everybody. That I don't know how to say it. I know. Like I genuinely understand this. I am thinking through just a different light right now. That's it. And I'm seeing all these comments come in. I know I've said all of these things. I'm just trying to say, at a certain point, a cop in the 5th or 6th interview on December 30th of 2022, Brian Koberger is now known. Make it make sense. So either she is involved and she does know and she chose to cooperate to get a lesser sentence or to not be charged. Yes. Or she wasn't there that night, nor was Bethany, right? She's a liar, but who is she lying for? To protect herself and the criminals, or to protect herself and what was known? You have Brian Koberger being surveilled for months beforehand. Josh Hurwitz on the case. Castnet goes back to June. DNA makes no sense. Bubbly said, good to see Bubbly. Which, Bubbly, did you ever email me? BirdieBombshell00@gmail.com. If you're open to it, I want to do a stream with you. But Bubbly said, I don't think you can really call those leaks if the real story is so buried. Those are just hangnails opposed, to a compared finger loss. I agree. I agree with that. I'm seeing both sides. I'm not also trying to just say I agree with everything or whatever. You guys know me. I have my opinions on I have my opinions. But right now, this is rather a theory that I'm mentioning. Yes, Koberger was being surveilled. This is documented in the court documents. And Taylor's asking why. And then you have a Castnet that goes back to about June or July. I can't remember off the top of my head the exact date. But Maddie, I believe it was Maddie and Xana. Josh Hurwitz gets involved right around that time in April. But he really, really starts, to come into it in June. Brian Koberger goes out to WSU in June, according to his mom's Facebook post. Brian Koberger, you can say he studied criminology to become a serial killer, but if he's so good and his papers are so methodically written about plea deals and exactly what's happening to him, the chances of anybody writing a paper and then being framed for this, that's a criminology student and is applying to be around police and law enforcement, to go down this badly is way more of a stretch than him studying this to be a serial killer. I haven't been looking at the chat. I'm sorry. July 22nd. Thank you, Curious Cat. Right. So Wild West 144 says, here's the bottom line, Birdie. A real investigation just did not happen in this case, and there has to be a reason for that. Can we all agree with that? This clearly is not an up and up investigation from how many organizations? But so you have local law enforcement being Moscow, WSU, you have the FBI, marshals, other task forces, the court systems, Koberger's defense team, the prosecutors, the media, social media. Sherlock says, simpler question is, does the FBI want the truth? Yes or no? I don't know. Does the FBI want the truth? Okay, so we've talked a lot about the greater good doctrine. Put yourself in the FBI shoes. Would you give up? This is fucked up to say. Would you give up a quadruple homicide drug hit to stop the gang that's calling these hits? for X amount that's a variable down the road. Would you frame somebody that had aspirations to be in the FBI? Would you frame somebody that might be working as an informant and have them do this on a need-to-know basis? There's a book that I've read. It's called Never Split the Difference. And then there's another one by the same guy. They're both sales books. I'm looking at my bookshelf right now. It's Never Split the Difference and The Like Switch. There's really interesting stories in those books that you can apply to sales in your life by, you know, the more you'll sell depends on, does the person like you? And the more that somebody likes you is based on how much you let them either talk about themselves, you mirror them, right? You respond in your first sentence with a question back to them. There's a lot of tips and tricks. One of the stories told was like, they manipulated New York Times newspapers and the jailhouse clock, as well as their watches and everything else, when they had somebody from the Middle East that they were going to say can pray at certain times. They essentially convinced this man, it was like over the course of time, 2 days later than it really was, to foil a plot, saying that he wouldn't admit this until it was done. And so they manipulated time. They manipulated newspapers. They did all this stuff with people that walked in. He was asking to see their phones, their watches, certain, newspapers, things, right? They did that. And then he admitted it. And it was 2 days before they had time to go foil the plot.
We previously stated you do not have to answer questions. You are not a suspect. If there's a question that makes you uncomfortable or you just don't feel comfortable with, just let us know and we can bypass it. If you build comfort towards it later, we can address that later. Okay, but and at any given time, you can tell us I'm done, and we understand. Okay, so we are truly appreciative of you taking time. This is interview what 5.
Dude, they're trying to keep Dylan alive. What if that's it? It's everything that we're saying. Either they know she's lying, like they have to know. Like they're trying to keep Dylan alive. Listen to this. And it almost sounds like it's like they understand that just keeping her talking is better than her not being there, whether she's dead or she's on the run. Therefore, they're saying, thank you. Right. So guys, she's backing them up. Is it a stretch to think, too, that she's not already aware of this narrative that they're going to put out? I feel like I'm kind of the minority right now in the Hive, and that's fine. That's fine. I do wonder if they're appreciative of her going on record, knowing that these will be released, so that, like, years later, right now, if somebody that's still in the gang hears this, they're like, oh, shit, Dylan didn't say anything. Just like Dylan said, I was convinced it was Jack, but on the news, I didn't hear anything about that. So I was like, oh, wow, it's not. Like, what if that's the same effect that people who listen to it are now going to have?
Quadruple homicide, Latah County, Moscow, Idaho. With me today is
Detective Gary Tollison, Idaho State Police.
Our attorney for
perfect. As we previously stated, you do not have to answer our questions. You are not a suspect. If there's a question that makes you uncomfortable or you just don't feel comfortable with, just let us know and we can bypass it. If you build comfort towards it later, we can address that later. Okay, but and at any given time, you can tell us, I'm done, and we understand. Okay, so we are truly appreciative of you taking time. This is interview what, 5 or 6? Yeah, it's been a lot, and we are truly grateful that you're so cooperative and helpful with this. Your attorney is present today, which is if at any time we need to stop the interview, she knows what to do. So, all right, we're going to start with the VBQ. Thank you. Very long form.
What is Dylan's boyfriend Quinn's relation to these drug hits? Like the drug networks, rather. Okay. I'm going to put this up on the screen. We're going to talk through this right now. What is Quinn's relation to this? So his dad. Dude. I you know what? I hate that my brain works like this because whenever I have this thought, I'm like, that clicks, this clicks, that clicks, and then I talk out loud and I get to like the 5th step and then it doesn't. But whatever. It is what it is. That's how my brain works. Okay. His dad is an Aryan Knight and is in prison. What if Quinn was the informant? And what if Quinn used Dylan to lure Kaylee back? Quinn is aware that Xana and Maddie's parents cooperated because of his father. Quinn then passed the message on to Dylan and told the police and the authorities that he was informing. Dylan is aware of this. And then, if Dylan's the one that gets Kaylee to come back, or if Dylan's the one that overheard conversations that Maddie and Xana are having, either saying that they were low-level mules or helping their parents out to move stuff through the frats, like, where do you guys get this? Like, they don't use it, but like, oh, it's just easy extra cash, right? Dylan, guys, correct me if I'm wrong, but Dylan is the last communication point between Kaylee and that, right? I'm thinking back to what Dylan just said. Dylan's the last communication between Kaylee and the house, right? Like the physical house, because she stayed there later. She turned in that paper. So because remember how they said, oh, we all set our alarms to get up at 8 or 8:30, whatever it is. And then Dylan's like, let me look at my phone. I have a paper that I turned in. Right? But I believe that Dylan is the last communication physically with Kaylee from the house. And so, dude, if Dylan stayed back to, quote, turn in this paper, but is there, she's the only roommate that has connections that's alive still at that house. She's there later than the other people. She admits that. What if that is the trigger? So then when she leaves, going back to what I said with Quinn tells Dylan, Quinn confirms Dylan knows. Dylan is communicating information from inside the house to Quinn. Quinn's father's already in prison. What if the feds got to him and said, you don't want to end up like your father? Right? I'm just saying. I'm trying to think, like, you guys all just said they manipulate people for confessions. They manipulate people to cooperate. So I'm trying to think, Dylan's the last one in there that has communication with Kaylee that's alive. That could be on purpose. Dylan then leaves and either sends the text. What if Dylan coordinated this whole setup actually, but it was a setup, it was a double cross. So Dylan's the last person to see Kaylee, then Dylan leaves, however many minutes later. I know this sounds crazy, but this is the first time that I'm having this thought, so bear with me. Dylan then texts the people that are supposed to do the hit that don't know that Dylan is working with Quinn, who Quinn is then an informant. So then those people either begin to, and Dylan leaves the door open. Bethany's out of the house. Dylan's in her room during the time. The cops aren't called for 8 hours because the cops, they spoiled the plan. No, and Dylan's not smart like that. But I could tell you what if Quinn went to Dylan? Okay, let me ask everybody this. You're a college-age girl, and your boyfriend comes to you that you know you're dating, that their dad's an Aryan Knight in prison, and says, hey, my father, if he's not there for me, whatever it is, I don't like this path. I don't want to go down that same path. Two of your roommates, their parents are cooperating to get charges dropped. Typically, this gang puts out hits then on them. Oh. There's a flashbang. And how do we know how smart Dylan is? Don't people say she's typically about all of her All right. That was my entire computer just restarted. So I'll freeze, and typically my FBI agent will freeze me with my mouth open by the mic, but this time my entire computer just rebooted. So hopefully, can you guys see me now? Yeah. Okay. So what was the last thing that I was saying? God damn, I was literally so if you were going to set somebody up, you'd want to be the last person to be out of that house. Then you would text people that you were going to have, that you're working with, let them know, hey, they're alone in the house, yada, yada, yada. Hey, we're home at this time. Hey, these people are here. These people are not. That's why you're not being treated as a suspect. So Dylan complied to do this on both sides. One side being threat and manipulation, the other side being helping law enforcement. And that gives you a traumatized, confused, lucky survivor that makes no sense. Along with everything else. It's not what the facts show. It's not what the documents show. But that's the human reaction that we're all seeing. A lucky, confused, weird story that the facts don't align with. One second. All right, now I'm just paranoid. My bad. I have these noise canceling headphones and I heard the dog barking and I thought I heard Mrs. Birdie yelling. But the dog did bark and Mrs. Birdie was yelling at the dog, but nothing bad. Yeah, you know what? It was a firecracker. The reason why Dylan as well is able to have things like this said to her. Like, let me just, oh, I got to reshare the screen. Sorry. The reason why I think Dylan's able to, like, let's think logically. Let's think from law enforcement standpoint right now. The reason why law enforcement says this to Dylan and why Dylan is able to say whatever she wants without making sense is because a true cross-examination would collapse the operation. Appy Cakes says Dylan was surprised too because Maddie was going home from party when she left Kaylee at home, so they had to change the tack till later because Kaylee wasn't going to be alone. Very well could be, you know. Very well could be. Thank you so much for the super chat. Love Always Redacted gets a top dog saying, I think Bethany stayed across the street. Dylan was at the house and then she left and went across that street. I like this. I like these live digs right now because, again, it is exactly what it sounds like. This is a live dig. You guys are seeing my brain work in real time. I'm seeing your comments come in real time. Right? But listen to, again, what this cop says.
Attorney for
Perfect. As we previously stated, you do not have to answer our questions. You are not a suspect. If there's a question that makes you uncomfortable or you just don't feel comfortable with, just let us know and we can bypass it. If you build comfort towards it later, we can address that later. Okay, but and at any given time, you can tell us, I'm done, and we understand. Okay, so we are truly appreciative of you taking time. This is interview what, 5 or 6? Yeah, it's been a lot, and we are truly grateful that you're so cooperative and helpful with this. Your attorney is present today, which is if at any time we need to stop the interview, she knows what to do. So, all right, we're going to start with the BBQ. Thank you. Very long form. The first question on here is your relationship to the victims, how long you've known each of them. So you've known Zana since August of 2022. Can you tell me?
Well, August 2021, I joined my freshman year, which would be August 2021.
Okay.
Zana and Maddie Zana's a grade older than me, Maddie's 2 grades older than me. I met them through there. I got close with Maddie because is Maddie, and so me and I go over to Maddie's house all the time. I didn't know Kaylee at all really until that following spring when I met her the first time. Maddie had
Appreciate that, Drew Bledsoe. Happy Friday, free BK Friday. Good to see you.
Told me, Zana, and Kaylee that we're all gonna live together. That's when I met Kaylee, and then I got to know her more this semester. I didn't know. I knew Ethan and Zana were dating, but I didn't really know Ethan at all until this semester when I first met him. Yeah.
Okay. You actually just answered all of those.
Sorry.
No, you're great. That's great. I appreciate that. No, that's perfect. So you have a pretty good relationship with your roommates, with your friends there, and we'll talk more about that as we progress. You already know the questions. You already answered them all, but we'll just kind of progress through this. Last contact with them, you saw them at the party. This is for Ethan. That is on the 12th around 10:30 p.m. And I think that's
guys. Look, not everybody has to believe. I'm sorry, not everybody has to go along with what I'm about to say right now. But to Anita's question, Anita D6844 says, why would a cop act like this? Kiss up. She might be a perp. He doesn't know for sure. No, guys, I think they do know for sure. I absolutely think that they do know for sure, because if Dylan was arrested, or if this ever went to discovery, or like this would open the door to discovery down the road, right? Every single message, every single call, any of her relationships, family connections, parents' backgrounds, statements under oath. Do you know how easily that would break the chain of custody and break this official story against Brian Koberger? That would die immediately. The cover-up would die immediately. So what do they do to shield that? They use the narrative and they say, she's not a suspect. She's a victim. Move along. That is not anywhere close to what the pursuit of justice looks like. And we have gaslit ourselves into thinking that it's just this literal, massive corruption. If we were to step back and stop saying corruption, I wonder if we would look through the lens of only an operation and not look at things that are easy to poke holes in, but rather, why are they saying this? Would we be able to literally pinpoint everything that's being done is for a narrative survival? Brian Koberger is factually innocent, as Lovely Me just says. I have a love-hate when this happens on stream, because I'll just kind of spin myself around after I say things like that with trying to piece it all together out loud, and it probably ends up confusing people. But they tell her that for a reason. And I don't think it could just be corruption, because they know that Kohberger's lawyers are going to hear this. So if you were Ann Taylor and you have access to this, wouldn't you show the jury this tape and say, so you don't find DNA for how long? You were tracking my client for how long beforehand? You let him cross state lines for how long? But you're telling her in her 5th or 6th interview she's not a suspect? And they're so grateful for the cooperation. She wasn't separated from anybody at the crime scene. There's also this avenue that Ann Taylor could have created reasonable doubt for corruption. I'm kind of having my own mind blown by how long it's taken me to think. Like, I've thought WITSEC, I've thought Operation, I've thought all that, but it's really taken me this long till you guys are seeing this right now to think very, very, very granular about the human aspect of she's the last one there with Kaylee at the house. Dylan could easily say, yep, I just left. Kaylee's there with her friend. We like her. She's fine. She wouldn't be involved in it. She's cool. I went, I hung out here. They could be asking her how much you had to drink. We're thinking that it's a distraction to say, I don't remember because I was that drunk. But if you think about it, Detective Gooch also says, oh, it's not the 8% ones. It's only the 5% ones. Sammy T last night was like, that's like breakfast for a college student. What do you mean you're so effed up? And you stopped drinking at 2:30, whenever it was that you got home. This happened at 4 or something. Like, she could either not be being truthful about how much she drank, which is yes, but could it also be to corroborate like estimated blood alcohol level on the opposite side? That she was sober enough to corroborate a story against people who set up this hit that she was an informant for? I don't know. That could sound really stupid to people. I'm just thinking out loud. Like, it's so obvious that she's lying. Her entire existence helps nothing. It doesn't prove innocence. It doesn't prove guilt. Her literally Dylan Mortensen existing in this case right now, being a survivor, witnessing everything. Guys, it doesn't help a damn thing. It hasn't helped the timeline. It hasn't helped the PCA. It hasn't helped confirm that it's Brian. It hasn't helped confirm that it's a prison gang hit. It hasn't helped anything publicly. If this is a random, brutal massacre by a lone killer, why would you leave any witnesses alive? That's especially the one that saw him face to face. Why would he risk her calling 911 right away like a reasonable person? Brian Kohberger is so smart that he was a psychic after having a Jason Bourne timeline, leaving no DNA. They didn't see his license plate. They didn't see him in the car. They have no connection to the victims. He didn't stalk them. And he knew that Dylan wasn't going to call 911 right away. Didn't hesitate, doesn't stop and threaten her. Nothing. No, it tactically, it makes zero sense. It doesn't even make sense from a storytelling standpoint. If that was in a movie, you'd be like, what the fuck? They have to be in on it. So that means that Dylan Morton's presence is protected, or it's a part of the plan. Law enforcement had to literally. That means that. So if she's not helping, that's why law enforcement had to declare her innocent and not a suspect. That's literally why it has to maintain the illusion of randomness. That's Dylan. Dylan is the illusion of randomness. And if Dylan cracks at all, this entire thing really could become a national security nightmare because of other people that might have snitched on the Aryan Knights that might be in witness protection. Cheekbait says, too drunk to witness, too drunk to conspire. Detective Mowry, I hate that I'm putting so many of your comments up on the screen. I hate you. But he says, he says, can we please quote Ben Franklin? 3 people can keep a secret, but only if 2 of them are dead. If Dylan talks, oh, Drew Bledsoe, thank you so much. Almost at 800 likes. Tip your host and like the video, you peasants. Free PK. Appreciate that, bro. And I saw another one come in too. Oh, no, I got to that. Appreciate that, Drew Bledsoe. I heard you had not only do you have a crush on HBO Dog, but also Sammy T, is what I've heard. Okay. Where are we at on that? With what I just kind of said. That was slow. That was choppy. It is word vomit, thought vomit, one might call it. Like, where are we at? Is anybody wrapping their head around it or not? Pierre said, I like that you are thinking out loud. And if Xana and Ethan were killed because they were witnesses, then what the fuck with DM? That's a good question. The only thing that I can think of is that Ethan was the Xana, what Dylan was the Quinn. Ethan was the Xana, what Dylan was the Quinn. Because this, like, Flurry says, I still think Witsec makes more sense. Someone had to be the fake witness, is what Brian Todd says. Love Tina says, and it's awesome. Well, you want to know what else I like to? Going back to Pierre6976 super chat, which thank you again. I will say that I feel like we have enough of like a hive community here where I genuinely just let it fly. And so you guys probably, if you've been tuning in, you know me well enough. I have good takes. I have bad takes. I have whatever takes. But at least you know that, and I hope, the roller coaster of them all have been consistent throughout this entire ride that you guys have been tuning in. Because going back to like protecting this illusion of randomness, if you're going to do that, you have to seal off any suspicion. And they did that. What also like enables sealing it off? You have to give them victim status. And then what somebody in the chat just said is like too drunk to witness or whatever, like doesn't know enough to corroborate whatever that comment was. It's gone too far up, but it's like Dylan was never going to be a suspect. What would the reason now be for Bethany fighting a subpoena? Could that somehow corroborate this working theory? Oh yeah, thank you so much, Cheekbait. Too drunk to witness, too drunk to be complicit. Thank you. Top dog. Brian Todd got kicked off jury duty today for being over open-minded devil's advocate. Too drunk to conspire. See, there. I hate also too when my brain does this, I go silent because I feel awkward that you guys in the chat don't hear me, the whole time. So that's why I do like, again, these live digs where I can do this, because most times I try to have it planned out. I'm going to start with this intro and then I'll have this guest on, or I'll do, this video or this Hive Mind Find, whatever it is. But right now I can't shut my brain off because I'm just trying to think like this could explain the quote delayed 911 call. Because if Dylan told the people that she was double crossing, it's go time, and then had double crossed them with law enforcement or with somebody that she knew, that she gave the green light to them, by the time they did that hit when Kaylee and Maddie got home, could that take a handful of hours? I don't know how you guys are feeling because I'm not looking at the chat enough when I'm thinking. Like, give me your thoughts. You guys aren't going to hurt my feelings. I'm curious if anybody's following me, that Dylan has to maintain the illusion of this randomness for the entire narrative. Even though the PCA has been proven false, she wasn't asleep. We shouldn't even consider anything that she said fact. Yeah, yes, great point. Repent salvation. Payne discredited DM in the PCA, contradicting her recollection of it being Kaylee. He said it could have been Xana since she was up on TikTok. And then you also have Detective Gooch saying, I don't want you to listen to what maybe the local cops told you. I need you to tell me what you thought. Because when I heard the local cops saying this, I thought that the person who said, it's okay, you're going to be all right, said it to you. I didn't know that you had heard that to who you thought, or you had heard somebody say that to who you thought was Kaylee in the bathroom upstairs, which wasn't Kaylee. And it wasn't said to Dylan. And it was really Xana. Plus, Ethan was there, and she hadn't seen Ethan all night. She doesn't even know when Ethan got there for the majority of the interview. Like, so Marty Kuhn, 4582 says, could she be faking that she was so drunk so she could play dumb? Of course, she could be. But it's too neatly coordinated on what she doesn't recall. And when she can't recall it, it's too neatly coordinated on overemphasizing that she thinks she doesn't remember. I was pretty drunk, and the cops are giving her a pass. They're never, ever honing in on it. So it's not to say that I mean, and could that be lawyer talk? Yes, but her lawyer interrupts her what, once, ever? She doesn't seem like she's hiding anything, from screenshots, from Snapchat logins to Detective Mowry and passwords being changed. I know that there's going to be a divide amongst theories with this, and that's fine. Just stick with me, because I can't be a good host and go as deep into theories as I need to, in an hour and a half, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever it is for live digs at night by going between a bunch. Like, that's why I put the poll up tonight for what theory people think is most likely. That's why I've stuck to this one. So it's like, I hear everybody saying, no, there was a bump on her head. Look at this picture. Look at that picture. And it's like, okay, I know. I just think Dylan's the randomness illusion that's being controlled. That's what I think it is. I don't even know if she's that capable of corroborating so many moving parts while being so fucked up that align perfectly with camera footage. That all just so happened to line up with timestamps on her phone. Like, the whole point, too, that I was going to play this interview for the last 45 minutes and I haven't, is that Dylan didn't know Kaylee. Kaylee knew Maddie and Xana. And my brain went down this rabbit hole of like, hang on. So they've only been living there for how long? And Dylan didn't know Kaylee unless it was for Xana and Maddie. But then Dylan's the one that recruits Kaylee to come back. Did you guys catch that in this interview? And maybe I should let that play and we can go over that.
Consistent with what you've previously stated in your interview.
Yeah,
So,
I know, like, I went some camera, but I don't know exactly the time that I last saw them.
okay. And then Kaylee and Maddie, you were hanging out with them, and I'm just going off of my memory,
Yeah.
hanging out with them upstairs for a little bit.
Yeah, in Katie's room.
Yeah. And that was about 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
Dylan didn't live there, Drew? What?
Went back to bed, so I was not. What were y'all talking about? They just got back from class.
Yeah,
right?
we were all a little bit drunk.
Audio.
Kaylee and Maddie got grub truck, and Maddie kept taking Kaylee's grub truck. So it was like a video of me and her, and we're like, oh, should we go get grub truck? And we're like, well, no one can drive. So we were debating texting the Uber driver. We knew him really well because we Ubered a lot, and so he knew most of us.
Okay.
So that was like our last conversation, was deciding.
That's why you were calling or texting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Uber driver, he knows us.
Hi, everybody. This is Ted.
Someone for each of them,
Yeah.
family members and whatnot, which is great.
Yeah.
So for Ethan, I've had the opportunity to meet both of them. What do you think about?
I think they're both really nice. I know Ethan is bigger sometimes because I know they were both very protective of me because I was like their little sister, and she's really nice. Her and Xana were pretty close, and her and her friends would come over to our place all the time, and she was always super sweet and super nice to us. But I don't know Ethan or our place all the time, and she was always super sweet and super nice to us. But I don't know Ethan or their parents' names.
Okay, and that's all right. Out of Ethan and which one was kind of the more? Out of Ethan and which one was kind of the more dominant?
I wouldn't say just because she was like they're younger, like always kind of like they were more protective of her. I don't really know which one was more dominant. Like Ethan, I knew Ethan a lot more than I knew. From what I've seen, maybe Ethan, just because I guess people that I know knew him more. I guess.
Okay. No, that's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't really know.
For Xana, her father's. Have you met?
Yeah, for Parents Weekend, he came up. He met my mom. He was super nice. And also Parents Weekend came up and visited. I think that's maybe first or second time I've seen her. I don't know if she's came over to the house before because she's only like 30-ish minutes away. but she came over for a little bit for parents weekend as well.
Do you know where she came from?
Wazoo. I think she's
Just so everybody knows, over on X, I am ending this stream. Christ, I didn't even know that I was still cross streaming. Come on over to YouTube, Birdie_Hive Mind, and we will be continuing here. And also, guys, right now, just take a second. If you have not liked the live, please do. I appreciate that. And hopefully the people from X make their way over.
well, I don't know for sure what sorority she's in.
So I've yet to meet, but I hear she and Zaina look a lot.
They look a lot alike, and they always denied it. Xana kind of got annoyed when I said they looked alike.
So even their father had told me a time or two he actually got them confused.
Really? they looked a lot alike.
Yeah. And you know that Zaina, you wrote down here that both Zaina and Ethan were in a relationship.
Yeah.
Is he saying Jenna? Is that who he says?
So I've yet to meet, but I hear she and Zaina.
She's in.
So I've
She's guys. Well, I don't know for sure what sorority she's in.
so I've yet to meet, but I hear she and Zaina look a lot.
I've met to meet, and I hear her and Zaina look a lot alike. Jasmine. It's not Jenna McClear, who has pretty much been living there, that also has an interview in the same room that all of the survivors do. Is it confirmed that it's Jasmine, Xana's sister? Okay, that's also very reasonable too. I'm just saying, Jenna said, I was pretty much living there. I don't know if I'm just throwing everything out there again out loud. He's asking about siblings. There are some people that are saying Jenna in the chat. Jenna does get an interview in the same room that they all do. I'm just saying, like, again, okay, first of all, nobody in here can hear this name. And it's a J. So you're going to assume that it's siblings. It's like everybody assumed they were sleeping. Jenna McClear. Jasmine does look like Xana. Of course, they're sisters. That's a very obvious answer. Okay. But the whole, like, they gotten them confused type thing. I don't know. Okay, so Fizzy Cake says, Jeff would not get Jenna confused with Xana's sister, pretty sure. I guess you could say siblings get confused more often. But there's also an aspect of, like, what if somebody that's living in their house looks kind of like them? Jenna McClear is done on the same damn type of interview in the same room that Dylan and Bethany are. That's my whole point. So, like, that's crazy. And the other thing, too, is I'm not calling anybody out in here, but it's interesting how, like, a lot of people are very quick to be like, no, it's a sister, or no, it's this. And it's like, okay, yes, I understand when Xana's dad and the sister, they were getting interviewed. They were told when they found out Xana was dead. Like, I'm aware. How do I communicate that I'm not making, like, a mistake? That's not even the right word for it, but it's like, I'm just thinking, what else could it be? Because how many damn times have we said everything that we've said? Has anybody figured out the truth? Has anybody literally figured out the truth?
alike, and they always denied it. Xana kind of got annoyed when I said they looked alike.
So even their father had told me a time or two he actually got them confused.
They looked
Yeah. So their dad's gonna say only a time or two that I've gotten my two daughters confused. Well, like maybe. What about if they were living there? Does he go there for parents' weekends? He's there fixing locks, or maybe he's not, right?
they looked a lot alike.
And you know that Xana, you wrote down here that both Xana and Ethan were in a relationship.
Yeah.
Pretty good relationship.
Yeah, they were pretty good. I think it was about a year. They're both very similar. They're like very goofy. Like if they're there, then it's like when we go to parties, if they're there, then it'd be fun. Like that's how they were. And everyone knew Xana. Like all of Eva knew her, and then obviously everyone knew Ethan because he was dating her.
So they know Ethan by association.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even really know him until I met Xana, and people probably knew him beforehand because he was. But yeah.
It's interesting. You're not. Everyone tells me that same thing. It's just they're just a lot of fun. They kind of life of the party, and you know when they show up, things are gonna get a little more fun than they've already been. So, for Kaylee, you knew that she had a relationship with John, and it looks like now. I don't know if we know that there was something between her and, but can you tell me a little bit more about her and relationship?
I know like after Kaylee broke up, it was very mutual. Like there was no hard feelings, and he still came over, hung out. Kaylee had just been kind of talking to me. I don't know if they were like officially made it something, but I knew she would stay over at his place and would pick her up every now and then. And they ended up talking, but I don't know like how serious it was.
Okay. Didn't ever come over and just hang out with Kaylee or
I
hang out
don't
at the
know.
house?
He like when we had parties at our house and we have a lot of and so he would be over quite a few times, and I know him just from U of I. But I don't think he ever like came over and just hang out with Kaylee.
Okay.
And then also,
Oh.
like
Okay.
through our sorority at like Greek life and stuff. So I don't think he ever just like hang out with just Kaylee at our house, from what I know of.
Okay. Now, from what I understand.
Okay. Who's on the left? Who's on the right? I'm sorry, but that you can't tell me that's a stretch with a J. Obviously, it's two different people. Who knows who this is? Yeah, Xana's on the right. Yes. Who's on the left, everybody? I'm not trying to be a dick when I say this, but it's like, yeah, that's Jenna and Xana. No, it's Jenna McClure and Xana. No, it's not her sister. So my whole point in saying that is when you hear the J and then you have Jenna getting interviewed in the same damn room as Dylan is, maybe that's why Jeff is getting them confused. Yeah, the other one who was pretty much living there. Let's just count that out and let's hang on a word or two and not the redacted names. Yeah, now people start over. Okay. Exactly. It's the redactions that cause confusion.
Like,
Okay. I don't know if we've ever
but yeah,
and you know, and Zaina look a lot.
I think she's as well. I don't know for sure what sorority she's in.
So I've yet to meet, but I hear she and Zaina look a lot.
They look a lot like, and they
So I have yet to meet, but I hear her and Zaina look a lot alike. And God damn it, motherfucker, curious cat. I have been waiting at I haven't even had that thought. I've just been waiting for this connection that I didn't even know existed. Genuinely, that is unbelievable. So people are saying Jenna doesn't go to WSU.
I don't know if she's came over to the house before because she's only like 30-ish minutes away, but she.
So she's only 30 minutes away. Is WSU 30 minutes away? Maybe. I don't know. It doesn't sound like it.
Came over for a little bit for parents weekend as well.
Do you know where she came from?
Wazoo. She's. I think she's as well. I don't know for sure what sorority she's in.
So I've yet to meet, but I hear she.
So who's also to say that he didn't change topics right there? Do you know what I mean? Yes, and I see it. I see people typing in all caps. Okay, I got you. Calm down. You're saying Josie. Wait, there's Josie. That's Xana's friend. Who looks more like I don't know. All I'm saying is that there could also just be a change of conversation where you could be like, oh yeah, tell me about your brother. This is hypothetical what I'm saying. Tell me about your brother, where are they at? Oh, he goes to this school, and has he ever come over? No, not really. But I know, he's there for parents weekend every now and again. And then he goes, okay, so I know that I've never now met your roommate, this person, or I know that I've never met, boom, it's a different name. It's redacted. How many Jacks are in this case? You know what I mean?
And Zaina look a lot.
They look a lot alike, and they always denied it. Zaina kind of got annoyed when I said they looked alike.
So even their father had told me a time or two he actually got them confused.
So that's a good point for people. That's a good point. Even their father told me he gets them confused. My question is, why is this relevant? Why is it relevant? In general, talking about Parents Weekend, talking about connections, talking about whatever, right? And yeah, people are like, oh, you're not giving up for anything or whatever it is. Like, guys, I'm looking to try to figure some angle out. I feel like people assume everything as fact without going against what we've thought are facts in this case for a very long time. You know what I mean? Like, I hope that makes sense. I'm not trying to piss anybody off in the chat. I'm not ignoring people in the chat. It's like, I know, I see the classic answers that come in all of the time. I'm not ignoring them. It's like, I know, I'm asking you all to like think against the grain with me.
They look alike, and they always denied it. Xana kind of got annoyed when I said they looked alike.
So even their father had told me a time or two he actually got them confused.
They looked a lot alike.
Yeah. And you know that Xana, you wrote down here that both Xana and Ethan were in a relationship.
Yeah.
Pretty good relationship.
Yeah, they were pretty good. I think it was about a year. They're both very similar. They're like very goofy. Like if they're there, then it's like when we go to parties, if they're there, then it'd be fun. Like that's how they were. And everyone knew Xana. Like all of you, I knew her. And then
so then it's like, wait, are they talking about going to? Never mind.
Obviously, everyone knew Ethan because he was dating her.
So they know Ethan by association.
I mean, I didn't even really know him until I met Xana, and people probably knew him beforehand because he was. But yeah.
It's interesting. You're not.
Because he was what?
I didn't even really know him until I met Xana, and people probably knew him beforehand because he was.
All right. Free for all speculation. What does this mean?
So they know Ethan by association.
I mean, I didn't even really know him until I met Xana, and people probably knew him beforehand because he was.
Because he was.
They know Ethan by association.
I mean, I didn't even really know him until I met Xana, and people probably knew him beforehand because he was.
Sigma Chi.
But yeah.
It's interesting. You're not. Everyone tells me that same thing. It's just they're just a lot of fun. They kind of life of the party, and you know when they show up, things are gonna get a little more fun than they've already been. So, for Kaylee, you knew that she had a relationship, and it looks like now. I don't know if we know that there was something between her and. But can you tell me a little bit more about her and relationship?
I know, like after Kaylee broke up, it was
relationship.
All right. Name the names, Hive. What do you guys think?
And they kind of life of the party, and you know when they show up, things are gonna get a little more fun than they've already been. So. For Kaylee, you knew that she had a relationship with
Jack,
and it looks like now relationship with and it looks like now I don't know if we know that there was something between her and, but can you tell me a little bit more about her and relationship?
I know, like after Kaylee broke up, it was very mutual. Like there was no hard feelings, and he still came over and hung out. Kaylee had just been kind of talking to me. I don't know if they were like officially made it something, but I knew she would stay over at his place. We would pick her up every now and then. And they ended up talking, but I don't know like how serious it was.
Okay. Didn't ever come over and just hang out with Kaylee or
I
hang out
don't
at the
know.
house?
He like when we have parties at our house, and we have a lot of and so he'd be over quite a few times, and I know him just from U of I. But I don't think he ever like came over and just hang out with Kaylee.
Okay.
And then also,
Oh. Okay.
through our sorority at like Greek life and stuff. So I don't think he ever just like hang out with just Kaylee at our house, from what I know of.
Okay. Now, from what I understand, They're pretty tight.
Yeah,
Okay. But they're also kind of
yeah. It's
associated.
like out of my friend group, we would just hang out. And some guys are always very like don't always go together. But
I've heard there's been a few.
yeah, there's been a few.
Instances,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I don't fully know them, and I don't really know why they're not like super close, but that's just how they are.
Okay. For Maddie, you know her mother is. Have you met?
No, but I was like sitting next to Maddie, and I saw her FaceTiming her mom, and knew that her name was. And I know she has a stepdad, or maybe her mom's just dating someone. I don't know his name though.
Okay. And you know that she was in a relationship with.
Yeah.
How was that relationship?
That was pretty good. They've been dating, I think it was a little over a year. She would call him like about every single night. There was one instance, I think it was during spring break, she was in Mexico, and she was drunk and like was dancing, maybe accidentally kissed him. I don't know the full story because I wasn't there.
When you say, are we referring to?
I think that's his first name, yeah. But I think they talked it out and they seemed pretty fine after that. Like, they just moved past it. And like whenever we would go to them, she wouldn't really say hi to like not make it like, you know, worse. And like me would say hi to them, but that was pretty much it.
Okay. I would have loved to have added columns on here for you and Ben.
Yeah.
That's not part, but
Yeah.
From everything I've learned, you're all just really good people, and yeah.
What does added columns on here mean? What does it mean when an officer who is interviewing Dylan says, I wish there would have been an added column on here for redacted, because I think you are all really good people. What does an added column imply? They're working from a structured form, likely a witness or subject assignment grid. Think columns for known associates, timeline, emotional, threat level, reliability, involvement. I wish there would have been an added column for boom. He's suggesting there's something not on the official checklist that's significant, real, and relevant, but that can't be written down. Translation, there's an unwritten category of truth they are seeing, but they can't say it out loud. Whatever that is, ChatGPT is saying that might be the most sensitive element of what they're actually talking about. Identities, operational details, status categories, being an informant, a cooperating witness, a criminal enterprise asset, an internal assessment. So what could be redacted here? It could just be Bethany, right? I wish there was a column for CI, Bethany. It would imply that Dylan or someone close to Dylan was already a cooperating party before or after the event, a passive participant or a witness compromise participant. It's pretty much protected asset participant CI. If someone is of those four things you just listed out, what would it look like in court doc language that the public could point out? So I had asked it right here. The classification for that might be these four things. And I said, okay, well, what would that look like in court documents that the public could point out. I know you guys can see this on the screen here. Due to the witness's trauma, further details were not pursued. The witness was considered non-involved based on initial assessment, which is a compromised witness. Dude, Dylan is a compromised witness. Has incriminating knowledge, conflicting accounts, past involvement. They can't charge him without jeopardizing their case or exposing deeper operations. Blue-Eyed Candy said, I noticed that when he gets DM about herself, it's cut out. Great call out, Blue-Eyed Candy. You're absolutely right. Absolutely right. This is it right here. Oops. In my genuine opinion, this is what we're watching with Dylan. A person who witnessed the event, yes. Has incriminating knowledge, yes. Conflicting accounts, yes. Past involvement, potentially. Cops can't charge them without jeopardizing their case or exposing a deeper operation. Well, we know there are bigger agencies involved. Therefore, that could make LE look corrupt by not charging them with jeopardizing. Statements are included, but they contradict key facts. They're never reconciled. There's no charges filed despite inconsistent testimony, known proximity to the crime, and an opportunity to act. For example, 911 for 8 hours. Law enforcement will never publicly address the contradictions. Wow. That's crazy. Hive, I hope you all enjoyed this live dig. I know I certainly did. My brain is spinning. I have a lot to go back when I edit this. I'm going to be making notes. And I hope you all have a great rest of your Saturday at this point. And I'm not going to be going live today. I'm Mrs. Birdie's assistant for her business today in about, I don't even want to say how many hours. God help me. Oh, man. This will be fun. But I will have the quick cut of this live posted if you've missed it. And please, for the love of God, hit that like button. Subscribe to The Hive if you are not. I go live every weeknight at 7 p.m. Central, Monday through Thursday, Fridays at 9 p.m., typically Saturdays at 10 to noon, Sundays at 7 p.m. as well. With that, have a great night. Cheers, everybody.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life.